ABC News on the way at 9 o'clock. Southern Queensland is home to an enormous amount of talent. These fertile soils have produced a host of sporting legends, not to mention a plethora of creatively gifted souls. But now we have a new accolade to add to the honour roll. We are now home to Australia's champion town crier. Kevin Howarth is the man who has held that role for quite a few years now. And every year there is a competition to find out who is the best of the best town criers. And success, or major success, overall success, has somehow eluded Kevin Howarth up until this year. Now he's taken out the champion of champions, the holy grail of town crying, to be named Australia's champion town crier. Let's find out a little bit more about what he won and how he did it. Kevin Howarth, good morning. Welcome. Lovely to have a chat to you. And congratulations.
Oh, David, thank you so much. I'm still on cloud 9. Well, I'm on cloud 149, I think.
You've achieved the holy grail of town crier championships, which has eluded you since you took on this job. You are the overall Australian champion town crier.
That's correct. Well, I wouldn't say eluded me because we go into these competitions and it's always good fun and all that. But I've had a couple of runners up by 0.5 of a point and 1 point. And I've always like, oh, no, I've never actually done it. But this year I did it. I came second as well in the best cry, meaning the best written cry, what the content was. And that was all about Fraser Coast, because that's where we were, the Fraser Coast.
So tell me how it works, though. To win the overall, does it mean that you have won the most of all the individual elements of the competition, or is it a separate set of achievements that you have to mark to actually win the overall Australian Championships?
Well, what happens, we have two cries. We have a host cry, so that was mine all about the Toowoomba region, and you do a host cry all about the Fraser Coast. Right. And you have between 100 and 125 words to do everything. But you have 4 judges. So you've got one has got the back to the criers, and they've got a copy of your cry. And you've got to make sure that you do every word on that cry and not add words or miss words out, because you get points deducted. And then you've got one gentleman there who's facing you, and he's got the decibel meter, so he gets the loudest sound on the decibel meter with the first 3 oh yeas. And then the other 2 judges, one is like for diction and clarity, and the other one is like, as you walk on the stage, your poise, your confidence, and your bearing. And there's marks like, say, 30 marks for one, 30 marks for another, and then they total all those up together, and then that's how they do the outcome. And then also you've got another judge who is a separate judge, which is for the best costume. So that one isn't marked for the best champion of champion, though.
But all those other things, though, and there's a lot to remember, it seems. I mean, do you try to concentrate on all those things as you're about to compete? So are you thinking as you walk out, I can't look like I'm in a hurry, I can't look nervous, I have to have poise, but then at the same time, I can't dwell on that too long, because as soon as I start, I've got to concentrate on being loud, but I can't dwell on that because I've got to actually remember it word for word, and my diction has got to be perfect. That does my head in just thinking about it.
It's a bit like tapping your head and rubbing your tummy.
Yeah, who can do that?
Well, the loudness one is the easiest one, because it's just the first 3 oh yeas on your first cry, and then you forget about it. But of course, I love to keep the voice going at the same, because I've heard some cries that go, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, really loud, and then they go, well, welcome to so and so. So you've got to be able to sort of like match your oh yeas and everything.
Absolutely.
And it was just great fun, and it was hard work.
Tell me, how hard is it to write a cry for a town other than your own?
It's very hard. And another funny thing about that, David, of course, I actually sat down with Angus from the council, who's an amazing guy, he's a great wordsmith. We sat down and we wrote this cry out. And of course, there's words in there, like Fraser Island is now called K''Gari. Yeah. So I was going to say it's Kagari.
Oh,
but
no.
it's not, of course, it's Gari.
Gari, yes.
Yeah. And then another one is Bauple, which I would say Bopple, but it's not.
What is
it? It's Bopple.
Right. Gee whiz.
So if I would have said those wrong,
Oh, you
I
would.
would have been like points deducted, but I was lucky. I was at a quiz, and a friend of mine's mum lives in Maryborough, and I was saying, "Oh, this is my. I'll tell you my cry." She says, "No, Kevin, it's not Bopal, it's Bopple." I was
Bopple.
like, oh, and also another one is Tiaro. I would say Tiaro, but it's not. It's Tyro.
Tyro, yes, I could have told you that one, but gee whiz, there's a lot of little pitfalls there, aren't there?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
boy.
like I say, you get points deducted and this, that, and the other if different things happen like that. So I'm like, oh my goodness me.
Did you think that you had done well? All humility aside, did you think that you had nailed it, or were you genuinely surprised? Did you think that others had perhaps performed better?
Well, David, this is not a conspiracy theory, but we've had the last five. The ones I've done has always been one or the other town crier has won it. And when you're in your host town, you can't win it because you are looking after everybody and all this, that, and the other. And the last 2 years, the ones who won it was in the other town, and because I lost by 0.5. But anyway, cast that aside. When they were giving me, when doing the awards at the night, they said, and third was blah, blah, second was blah, blah. And I'm thinking, oh, who's won then? And then they said, Kevin Howarth. And I was truly flabbergasted. And I got on the stage and nearly tears in my eyes. And it was like,
Fantastic.
I'd like to thank the Academy. No, it was like, and I telephoned my daughter who's now in Canberra, and we're both crying. And do you know what she said to me, which I forgot all about? She said, Dad, you're number one in 2 countries. I said, what do you mean? And of course, I was the number one UK DJ of the year back in the late 80s.
Oh, I see. Right.
And I was number one over there. And then, of course, now I'm number one Australian town crier. So I don't know.
I think you can use the term internationally acclaimed without any sense of hyperbole or anything. I mean,
That's it.
It's a genuine claim you can make. That is fantastic.
I've got to tell you, though, David, there was one casualty, okay?
Oh, dear.
One casualty, yes. It gave up the ghost when I was walking around in the Mary Poppins parade on the last day. My bell.
What happened?
Oh, I was ringing the bell and a bit of the handle fell off. And then it was a bit like, and I was like, oh no. So do you know what? I've got to ask if there's any of your lovely listeners out there, the beautiful David listeners, has got a school bell anywhere or an old bell that they'd like to donate to Kevin, that would be really
dear, oh dear. Well, as long as the handle didn't break and the bell didn't lodge itself, in anyone's, anatomy or didn't break a window or anything like that.
That would have been newsworthy, though, wouldn't it?
Well, it would have. Yes. They would have taken your title off your quick smart, I reckon.
Health and safety would have been at me.
Absolutely. Surely, dare I say, and I'll make it clear that I'm saying this and not you, Kevin, but surely Toowoomba Regional Council, they just handed down their budget and there was multi-million-dollar spends here, there and everywhere. Surely they can fork out for a bell for their internationally acclaimed town crier, surely.
Oh, you're the man. I'm going to get told off by the council now. You've said
No. You didn't say it. I said it. I'm happy to wear the consequences of my call.
And I've got another quick one for you as well.
Sure.
Do you know? I think you've had him on the show as well, Bob from Warwick and
from Warwick. Yes, yeah.
He was the senior champion of champions.
Is that right?
And it's just so funny. I left Maryborough driving and I had a bit of a coffee with him this morning before we got here. And I said to him, he said to me, he said, Kevin, the whole of Australia, we had criers from Canberra, New South Wales, Victoria, and me and him are both champions of champions, and we live next to each other.
It's not bad, is it? We are a very talented region. Bob Townsend, Senior Town Crier of the Year, and Kevin Howarth, overall Australian Champion Town Crier of the Year after the championships up in Maryborough over the weekend. More power to both of them. 15 degrees in Dalby at the moment. Kingaroy 14, St George 14, 15 in Gatton.